Ever since Dune Imperium Digital first came out in early access back in November of 2023, people have been clamoring for a ranked mode. Dune Imperium is such a great competitive game, people are itching for the chance to compete against other players and prove their strength online. In March, Direwolf finally announced as part of their Golden Path plans for Dune Imperium Digital that they were working on a ranked mode. But since then, we haven't really heard any updates. People have been asking, when is it coming? Ranked mode when? When can we play ranked? Well, it is almost here. Coming just in a couple of days from this video coming out, ranked mode will finally be released for Dune Imperium Digital. So let's go ahead, take a look at the announcement and go through it together. Here we go. September 16th, 2024, Dune Imperium Digital Ranked Play. Wednesday's patch releases Rise of X cross-platform on phones, tablets, and Xbox. Okay, so that's the other thing that people have been really waiting for. When is Rise of X coming to mobile platforms and Xbox? It's coming at the same time, this Wednesday. Ranked play for 4-player board games has some special considerations relative to more traditional 2-player games. So that is an interesting thing, because when it's a 2-player game, or even if it's a team game with a win-loss system, there's kind of a very clear way that you can do a ranking system. It's either win or lose. With 4 players, there are decisions you have to make. Is it just about first place? Do you give points based on ranking? All those are interesting questions. So let's take a look at how it's going to work. Rise of X Ranked Play. Looking to scratch that competitive itch? Yeah, I'm itchy, man. Ranked play matches begin every hour on the hour in a special queue in the online play menu. All right, now we can see here, I'll read this part. It's probably too small to see on the video here, but 5 minutes before the top of each hour, the queue will open and allow players to join to play in the next set of games. At the top of the hour, players in the queue will be seated into tables of 3 or 4 player games. Okay, so let's just think about this part right there. So there's a queue for ranked play, but the games don't happen just whenever there are enough people. The games happen at the top of the hour. So basically once per hour, ranked games will start. I think that's an interesting choice. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I think about it later, but that's just the first thing. That's how it works. So if you want to play ranked, you get into the queue and you know that at the top of the hour, that's when the games are going to start. Let's continue. Ranked games require Rise of X to play and match players against other players of similar levels of skill and experience, creating tables of 4 whenever possible. Okay, so that's another key piece of information. Ranked is only for Rise of X. So there's going to be no base game ranked mode. Okay. Match players against others of similar skill levels. So there's going to be some sort of matchmaking component where it's going to look at your kind of like hidden MMR or your ranking, try to put you with players of similar skill. That's a really good thing. That's something I'm excited about. Creating tables of 4 whenever possible. Now, this is an interesting part of it because, you know, people have different opinions about, you know, Dune playing at 3 players or playing at 4 players. I think a lot of people sort of consider 4 players to be sort of the pure mode and might not be that interested in 3-player mode. But this is going to be either one. So playing in a 3-player game or a 4-player game can happen in this ranked mode. We'll try to do 4, but you might end up with 3. Ranking up. In ranked play, you'll earn stars. 2 for finishing first, 1 for finishing second. That will help you rank up through 5 tiers from bronze to master. At ranks gold and above, finishing last or disconnecting from a game will cause you to lose a star, so it's important to fight to the finish. Okay, so this kind of looks similar to a lot of kind of ranked modes that we see in online games, like you know, what I remember from Hearthstone, playing that years ago, where you kind of collect these stars and you can lose stars, and you know, you get enough and you move up to the next rank. You'll need progressively more stars to rank up, but don't worry, losing stars won't cause you to lose a rank. Okay, so once you get into gold, you can't drop back down to silver. And you're going to need more stars for each rank. So it says you start at bronze, so maybe you need 4 stars to get to silver. Maybe you need 8 stars to get to gold. We can see here you need, okay, maybe not 7 stars to get past gold, whatever is past gold. Okay, that seems like pretty standard for online games. Let's continue. Seasonal leaderboards. A new season kicks off every 30 days with a fresh chance to make your mark as one of the top 100 players on the Master leaderboard. With each new season, the leaderboard resets and all players lose 2 ranks, dropping from Master to Gold or Gold to Bronze, for example, with a new chance to fight your way to the top. And we can see here that the leaderboard is measured in ELO, so that's your kind of the ranking number that's going to go up when you do well, and it's going to go down when you don't do well. I wonder if that's going to be visible to us. That's sort of a separate thing than the star ranking. So the star rankings maybe is more of just kind of a visual thing. It's a more exciting thing for the player to see the stars and to advance to the next rank. But the ELO is going to be more of a kind of supposedly more of a measure of your skill and your record in the game. Okay, so that's all the information we have. Let me go through again and kind of talk about maybe more what I think about some of these details. So let's go back up to the top here. All right, so the first thing is this part. Ranked play matches begin every hour on the hour. So this is, I didn't expect something like this. Typically with a queue, you press play and then as soon as the game is ready, it fires. So let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of this idea that it just happens at the top of the hour. Okay, well, number one, I don't know how many ranked players of Dune Imperium Digital there are going to be. Dune Imperium has been, I think, a very popular digital board game, but it is still a digital board game, and there's not a ton of players out there playing digital board games online. Compared to other online games, that have millions of players playing them, I don't think there are that many players who are queuing up for Dune Imperium games. And so the challenge is, how do you get games going when one of the goals is you want also to match people based on their skill levels? So it's not just as soon as there are 4 people in the queue, put them in a game, right? You could do it that way and you'd have games firing off faster, but your game quality or the fairness of the game is going to be out of whack, because in that case, it's just taking people as they come without respect to their win rates. So in order to get a larger pool of players to kind of match people up more fairly or more interestingly based on putting people of similar skill together, you need a lot of people in the queue at the same time. So I think this is one way to do that. Get everyone in there all at once, and then at the top of the hour, the system can sort people into appropriate matches. So I think that's probably the reason that they're doing it that way. And that's going to increase the quality of the game, although it may decrease the quantity of games that you can play. Okay, the other advantage I see to this is the predictability. So as a player, one thing that really sucks when you're playing online games is, you queue up for a game and then you're sitting there for a while waiting for the game to pop. The nice thing about this system is you can know, okay, I want to play a game, and so I'll be there at the top of the hour, and that's when the game's going to happen. So I think that's a nice way to kind of let people plan a little bit better as to when their games are going to happen. For someone like me who records games, I think that's going to be nice as well. Now let's talk about some of the downsides to it. All right, well, number one, if it's 7:30 and you really want to play a ranked game, well, you can't. You've got to wait half an hour. So it might be harder to fit into whatever schedule you happen to have. The other thing is, in terms of playing more than one game at a time, this could be a pretty big challenge. So let's say you want to play 2 ranked games in a row. Okay, well, if my first ranked game happens, let's say at 8:05, and let's say it takes an hour to play a game. I mean, a game of Dune Imperium can go, it can be under an hour, but it can also be over an hour quite easily. So let's say my first game starts at 8:05 and then it takes an hour on the dot. So I finish at 9:05. Well, I've just missed the queue for the next game. I've got to wait till 10 o'clock now. I've got to wait almost an hour to play my next game. That, I think, could be really annoying when, you might only have one night to play your games. You'd like to play 2 or 3. Playing 2 or 3 games might take 6 hours of time to actually accomplish. That, I think, could be a problem. And because of that, I could also see this kind of fueling the impatience that players sometimes have in these games. I'm sure you've noticed in your own games, occasionally people are telling you to hurry up. It certainly happens to me. People can be a bit impatient with people taking time on their turns, which I think is a bit ridiculous. If you're going to play a strategic turn-based game, you need to have patience. But I think this could exacerbate that. You might get people getting really annoyed with players because, like, come on, man, we got to get into the next game. I want to make the next game at 8 o'clock. Don't take forever with your turns. I think that could be an issue. Okay, let's move on. Overall, though, I think it makes sense, and I understand why they did it. So we'll just have to see how it works out. Okay, let's talk about the ranking system. So getting stars, okay, 2 stars for finishing first, 1 star for finishing second, and if you're in gold and above, you're going to lose a star if you're last place or if you disconnect. Okay, so this is something that goes into kind of the philosophy of how do you score a 4-player individual game. And I think this is tricky. People have different opinions about this. Like when I'm playing a game like this, I'm playing to win. I'm playing for first. And any chance that I can take to win first, I feel like I should take. Even if it, like, let's say, for example, I've got a move where I've got a 10% chance that this move is going to cause me to win first. But maybe if it doesn't work, then I'll get last. So there might be these kind of plays where it's like you're going for first, and if it doesn't work, you're going for last. And normally I would say you should take that move. If you're in a desperate enough situation, that's a move you should take. But with this kind of scoring system, it could be that you have another option where it's like, well, I've got a much safer move I can make that will kind of guarantee me second place. I don't have a chance to win anymore, 0% chance at first place, but like 90% chance at second place. Well, if your only goal is to get stars and rank up, then that kind of move might actually make sense. So the way that these scoring things actually affect strategy and decision making is something that has to be taken into account. Personally, I'm not sure what I think about this. I really believe that in a game like this, it's win or lose. I don't really like caring about second, third, and fourth that much. However, I can understand why it's important, and that is to still incentivize people to kind of like keep trying, even if they know they're not likely to win. And it might just feel better as a player to still be able to get some kind of reward, even if you don't actually win the game. Now this part, finishing last or disconnecting will lose you a star. Okay, well, I'm totally fine with that. And I do like the idea of punishing people for disconnecting from games because I really hate it when people quit games. However, it's the same loss for finishing last or disconnecting. And so what I could see happening is players who think that they're probably going to be in last place might just quit the game because they figure, well, either way, I'm losing 1 star. So what's the point of sticking around? And combined with this idea of the queue starting at the top of every hour, people might decide it makes more sense to just quit and get into the next game rather than having to wait an hour. So I could actually see this increasing the number of people quitting rather than decreasing it based on the way all these things are going to kind of combine together. We shall see. So like personally, I would rather, if you disconnect, you lose 2 stars. Come last and lose 1 star to encourage people to play till the very end. Because the other thing is, the game is never over until it's over. People quit early, and they might have actually been able to still win the game sometimes. So it would be nice to incentivize people to stick around, even if they think they're going to finish last. But anyway, now with the leaderboards, a new season kicks off every 30 days. So every 30 days, the whole thing resets. To me, this feels a little bit short because you're going to have to play a lot of games to rank up here. And, every 30 days resetting, if you're only playing a couple of games a week, I feel like it's going to be hard to even get into the top ranks. Now, that's kind of like something that always happens with ranked systems to some degree. I mean, it's always going to reward people who play more kind of, but ideally it would be more based on how well you do. So I don't love the fact that this is kind of putting a lot of pressure on people to play a lot of games. And again, combined with the fact that the games are only going to happen at the top of the hour, if you're someone who maybe only has like 1 or 2 evenings a week where you can play games, you might like to, okay, those are the games I'm going to get like all of my ranked games in a couple of days a week. Well, it's going to be really hard to do that when you can only get into a game at the top of the hour. So I have a feeling that this is going to feel like not really enough time for a lot of people. I think for me, that's going to feel pretty short. It's one of the reasons, honestly, that I kind of dipped out of playing the skirmish modes in Dune Imperium Digital. I like that mode. It's a kind of a challenge mode with special rules, and your score gets compared against other players. But there was just way too much time pressure and too many games required to kind of be involved with it. So I just kind of dipped out. And I'm a little bit worried about that here. But on the other hand, there's so many different kinds of players you need to satisfy. And if you make it too long, then people might get bored and kind of dip out for that reason as well. So all of these things are a compromise, and it's really hard to figure out exactly what the right decision is for all of these. But those are my thoughts there. The other thing is, this is measured in ELO. And again, it's not clear if how the ELO relates to the stars. So for example, okay, you get 2 stars for first and 1 star for second. Does that mean that in the ELO, a win is worth twice as much as a second place? Or how exactly are they going to measure that? They haven't said, and I'd be quite curious to see how that works. As I think about this more, I'm starting to get quite concerned about the fact that the ELO is going to be reset every 30 days. So why does that concern me? Well, the thing is, ELO is supposed to be a measure of a player's skill based on a lot of data about their win rates. And a large part of what I'm excited about with this ranked system, a large part of the purpose of a system like this, is to give people a chance to match up against players similar to their own skill level. And the way that that gets measured is through your ELO. So the thing is, it takes a lot of data to get a good measurement on that, especially in a system where it's not just win-loss, but it's first, second, third, and fourth. It's going to take a lot of games for the system to have kind of anything even close to an accurate number for any given player. So combined with the fact that you're only going to be able to play a game at the top of the hour and it resets every 30 days, I feel like the system is never actually going to get enough time to get enough data to give people an accurate ELO rating. Now, what could be the case is there could be a sort of public ELO that gets reset every month to give people this sort of race to get to the top by the end of the 30 days. And there could also be a sort of hidden matchmaking rating or ELO that actually never changes, that doesn't get reset month to month, so that people can still get matched up accurately, regardless of whether it's the beginning of the month or the end of the month. That could be the case. But either way, I think it would be nicer for the ELO to just never be reset, honestly. It doesn't need to be reset, because the idea is it's not something that should be just continually going up and up, right? It's something that's supposed to kind of measure your skill. So to me, this is something that should not be reset. It should only be reset if there's like a new patch or a new expansion or something like that. Now the ranks, that's fine. The ranks, to me, that makes sense to reset it. Gives people something to kind of like level up every month, and that's fine. But the idea of resetting ELO, to me, this doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Okay, well, that's pretty much everything on the ranked mode for Dune Imperium Digital. I'm really excited about this. Really looking forward to getting in there and playing it and trying it out. I am kind of sad that it's only for Rise of Ix. So let's talk about that a little bit. I think, again, the reason for this is basically because of the number of players that are available. So if they made a separate base game queue and a Rise of Ix queue, then your ranked players are going to be split across 2 different queues, and it's going to be harder to find matches. It's going to be harder to find matches of equal level players. So by making it just a single queue, just Rise of Ix, they funnel everybody into the same place, and ideally have a better competitive environment. So I totally understand it. I think it's sad because I do think base game deserves to have its own ranked mode. It's a completely legitimate competitive game. I honestly haven't even decided yet if I think Rise of X is better or not. I know a lot of people think it is. I'm not convinced as of yet. But anyway, that's how that is. All right, now let's take a look at how all of this compares to what was announced back in March as part of the Golden Path Dune Imperium Digital roadmap. All right, so let's go through it. Rise of X, okay, we've got it. Rise of X is here. It's out on Steam. It's going to be out on mobile. That part, check. Player profiles and ranked play. We've heard from players with a Mentat-like capacity for tracking and analyzing their games. So we're developing player profiles to help show you how you stack up against the competition and better track your progress as a whole. Okay, well, there's nothing in this recent announcement about the player profiles. So that's not coming this time. Maybe it'll be coming later. Who knows? We'll have to wait to hear more about that. We're working towards implementing ranked play options. Okay, well, that's what we just went through. So the ranked play, that is coming. As well as a karma system to improve match quality for casual games by prioritizing pairing players who finish games rather than quitting. Okay, well, there's nothing in here about that. The closest thing is the fact that you're going to lose a star if you disconnect from a ranked game, but there's nothing there about casual games. So we don't know if that is still something that's being worked on or not. Hopefully it is, because as I said, I think people who quit games, like, there's just no reason to be playing online if you're going to be quitting games. And I don't want to play with players who constantly quit games. So I really think there needs to be some kind of system to, keep track of that and, not let people play games if they quit a whole bunch of games in a given month or something like that. Or at the very least, to allow an individual player to block players that they have seen quit games and make sure that they don't get matched together. So right now, there's no way to actually prevent a given player from being in your games, which I think is a major flaw. If there's someone in your games that you see a couple of times who's disruptive or quits or whatever, you should be able to select that player and block them. And that should not only hide their chat from you, but that should make it so that if you put a game up, they can't join it. Or if you try to join a game that they're in, it should give you a warning or something like that. I really think that's a system that just makes a whole lot of sense, but it doesn't seem like that's something that Direwolf is too interested in implementing. Okay, next part, events and organized play. After 2 successful test events during early access. So during the early access period, there were 2 kind of tournaments that were up there. One of which you can find on my channel. It's called the War Chest, and you can see my whole progress through that event. It was a 6-game event, and players got scores based on how well they did in each of their 6 games. They got added up, and there was a ranking at the end. It was a lot of fun, but there's been no word since. It's been quite a while since we've had anything like that. So they say there's a lot more in store. We're working towards expanded offerings, prizes, international events, organized competitive play. There are a lot of moving pieces to put it together. Yeah. So anyway, we haven't heard anything more about that. This announcement was from March. So we'll see if there's more to come on that. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed that look at the coming ranked mode for Rise of X. Let me know if you are excited about it. Let me know your opinions on how those systems work. Do you agree with my thoughts on it or not? I'd be really curious to hear what you think about it. Make sure to tune in to my live Dune Imperium Digital stream. So that's Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. And then for more, you can tune in Thursdays at 9 p.m. on Twitch, where I'll play some Dune, but I'll also play some other games. The Twitch stream will be a little bit more freewheeling, so I'd love to see people there. That'll be Thursdays at 9 p.m., twitch.tv/bludgeon. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.